Sarah Swalla here. In a few days, I'll be leaving Durango, Colorado for Banff, Alberta to start the 2023 Tour Divide. I participated in the Great Divide Classic back in 2021. And for that ride, I created a Ride with GPS map with a bunch of POIs for the route. A lot of people thought that was very useful. So since the two routes are different this year, I figured I'd create a follow-up video to show you how I'm converting the Great Divide Classic POIs to the Tour Divide 2023 route. So I'll just take you through my process from scratch, and hope this teaches you some, Ride with GPS features that are super helpful for this kind of thing, because you don't want to have to, redo a bunch of work you've already done. So first off, I'm going to get the route from this website. They share the route on the Tour Divide 2023 Facebook page. So this is where the route is hosted. And I'm just going to download that route. It's right here. And now I'm going to go to my Ride with GPS file and import that to Ride with GPS. And that'll just take a few seconds. All right, we're going to view that route. And I'm just going to look at this. So obviously, for the Great Divide Classic, the Great Divide Classic just started at the border. So we're going to need to add this Canada section. But just to show you a comparison, I'm going to import the Great Divide Classic route into the same file. So to do that, first I'm going to jump to my collection for the Great Divide Classic, which is right here. And for now, I'm just going to work with the full length route. And since I don't want to necessarily modify this route, I'm going to copy this route to copy my routes and give it a new name. Set public. I'm going to copy to my routes. And just by doing that, that will copy the POIs to this new route. It's just taking a couple of seconds. Okay, so I'm going to edit this route in the planner. So you see now I've got a copy of my Great Divide Classic route with the POIs, and now I'm going to import the official Tour Divide 2023 GPX file into this same editing file. So just to show you how I did that was I'm going to import existing and select the official route file. I'm going to add it to Planner. And now you can see both routes overlaid. And just off the top, you can see that there are, a lot of it is the same, but there are some differences here. So it looks like through the Great Basin in Wyoming, there's some differences, and in Mexico, around in and out of Grants, New Mexico, there's a difference. And then there's also the additional Canada section. So just to make my Tour Divide 2023 file the same as this one, I'm just going to show you how I'm going to go about making it match the official route. And it's really important to make it, as accurate as possible, because, a lot of people are racing this event, and if they get off route in any of the slightest way, they can be disqualified. So yeah, I'll be being really, very specific on getting this route right. So I want to be modifying my own route with the POIs. And so to do that, I'm just going to make sure there's no other changes further north before I do this. And I'm going to leave the Canada section till the end. Yeah, looks like There's no other differences in the route. Okay. So first major change is in Wyoming. Just jump back down there. Okay. And in order to change this, I'm going to go over here into I'm going to select control point, and I'm going to mark the point where I want to keep everything south of here the same as it is. So I'm going to make sure I put a control point here so nothing gets modified. So I'm going to make sure I put that control point right at this corner here. And so you see the white dot. Now I'm going to go through and remove any control points on this segment. Remove that one. Because these control points hold the route to these locations. So I want to be able to drag this line over to the new roads without it getting stuck or anything like that. So everything north of here, I want to stay the same. So I'm going to put a control point here. Okay, and so now to move the route, I'm going to just do this at first. I'm just going to drag the route over to this line and try to make it match up as best I can. And so the reason it's doing this, as I'm noticing, is that my routing is on walking. So I'm going to change that to cycling, and that should help. There we go. Okay, so that pretty much got everything right, except for these few sections. So I'm going to drag the route there, and then right here, it didn't quite find the road. So I'm going to drag that here. Well, so sometimes you have to kind of manually get into this, but other times it's helpful to just change the base map so that the road can find the route can find the road a little easier. So doing that and doing that. Okay, that's great. Now, since this route is no longer going to Rawlins or through this area, I'm going to delete these POIs because any additional POIs is going to, kind of slow down the route file. So going to delete these. And yeah, so it looks like the route is now going from Rawlins, which was a full service town, to Warmsetter, which looks to be a little less, have fewer services. So once I'm done deleting these POIs, I'll jump into hybrid mode and add some POIs for Warmsetter. So I know, what kind of resupply options are there, because the Great Divide Basin is by far the most remote section of the route. There's roughly, over, 100 to 150 miles without resupply. And so Warmsetter is going to be a key point to just get, water and food, because there is no water in the Great Basin. Okay, so I want to add some POIs here, and I'm already see that there's I'm just going to make sure the heat maps are off, just so I'm not, I just added a route, so just delete that. So I've noticed that my route is auto-correcting through this line, so I'm going to, again, put some control points here, put a control point there, put a control point here, drag the route to where it's supposed to be. And there you go. Okay, so I want to add some POIs to this Warmsetter section. So to do that, my favorite place is to go to hybrid mode and to just zoom in really far. So these Google Map icons start showing up. So already we can see that there's a Love's Travel Stop, a Sunset, and let's see, there should be another place. Jerry's Place and a Kanoko. So to add these POIs, I'm going to just drop these POIs here, and I will stop, mark it as a gas station. And since Jerry's Place, looks to be like the only restaurant here, I'm going to look up some additional information. So I'm going to mark this as a food option, but I'm going to click this icon. And by clicking this icon, I'm going to go view on Google Maps. And Google Maps is going to pull up, and Google Maps is going to show me their phone number. And then it also allows me to look at their hours. So I can see here that they're open Monday and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 2, and Tuesday through Saturday, 5:30 to 7 p.m. And these hours for the Tour Divide are super important because we're, usually arriving to these towns at odd hours of the day. And it's just good to know when the places are going to be open. So I'm going to just type in here 7 a.m. to 2, and then Tuesday through Saturday 5:30 to 7. And I'm going to click save. So I'm also going to add the sunset in. And again, I'm going to click this first. Not going to add a POI just yet. I'm going to pull up Google Maps. I'm going to snag their website and their phone number for this, because again, when you're coming into town, sometimes it's just good to get to the Love's travel stop, sit on the curb, eat some food, and call to see if they have any rooms available. So put the website here, and then we'll go back to Google Maps, copy their phone number, and then we'll make sure this is a lodging POI. Okay. I think those are the most important spots here. I'm just going to make sure I'm not missing any obvious sections. Not going to quite add any water POIs just because we're so close to Warmsutter. It does look like there is water here. I'll add a water POI to Savory. It looks like we cross Savory Creek right here. So, and I just like to mark where it's obviously there are obvious places to get water. I don't always, fill up here. Like this particular place looks like it could have some like agriculture runoff. But yeah, you never know, and you might need it sometime. Okay, so now the easiest way to look at these two route differences, I'm going to delete this guy, is to just be in like Ride with GPS cycle Basemap, because then you can obviously see the obvious differences. Oh, and then it looks like there's a difference here out of Boreas Pass. So again, I'm going to switch from drop POI to control point, mark this, and drag the line over. I remember doing the Tour Divide last year. Great Divide Classic in 2021, and I recall there not actually being a place to stay. Maybe there was, but it wasn't as convenient as Hartselle, so I'm going to delete that place. Okay, and then around Hartselle, there's some differences. So again, control points where I want to keep the route on track. And I'm going to drag the route file to that segment. Okay. Oh, so just then I didn't actually mark a control point. So the route, I believe, moved. So let's just check that. I'm going to undo. Yep, it did move. So I'm going to zoom in and really make sure I mark a control point there. So right there. Okay. And that's just super important to note, because you can really, modify a significant portion of the route that you don't necessarily want. So I remember staying in Hartselle last time, and there was a really nice lodge place right here. So I'm going to go into hybrid mode, and yep, so there you see it. Hartselle Ranch. So I'm going to click that, view on Google Maps, grab their phone number, and I'm going to drop a POI. And I'll also grab their website too. So ranch. Okay. Perfect. Okay, we'll just keep making our way down. I'm going to switch back to Ride with GPS Cycle and check for any differences. And remember, I have both routes overlaid with each other. So I'm making sure that my route file matches the official Tour Divide route file. And I'm so glad to see that the Tour Divide 23 route goes through Abiquiu. This particular restaurant, El Forlito, is incredible. So I'll definitely be getting some burritos and quesadillas from there. Okay, here's another big difference. Yeah, it looks like the Tour Divide 2023 route kind of favors the road. This section in particular on the Great Divide is notorious for being very muddy. So they probably just anticipated that. And yeah, so I'm going to modify this. I'm going to switch to control point. And I'm going to mark my control point here. And again, sometimes if there's POIs in the way, it doesn't mark it. So you just have to zoom in a little bit further. Okay, we got it. All right, now I'm going to go back down here, make sure there's no control points holding this segment. Okay, no control points. So yeah, there's a control point here. So I think I'm good to start dragging. And since this is just a big section, I'm going to start zoomed out, get the bulk of it, and then I'll do fine tuning from there. So we're just going to drag it up here. And sometimes, since this looks like it's following a road, I'm just going to switch to driving. So make it a little easier for me. There we go. Okay, I'm going to zoom in, make sure that that's looking okay. Yep. Yeah, that's a little extra section that you can drag right back there. Okay, so now there is again, my route, the Great Divide Classic route went further west from Grants, south of Grants, but the Tour Divide route follows, the 2023 Tour Divide route follows a more eastern route. So I'm going to remove, we go back to control point. I'm going to delete that POI for now. I'm going to remove this control point. There we go. I'm going to add one right here. And I'm going to drag the route. Okay, and it looks like it didn't quite drag where the route goes, so I'm going to drag it back up to that section. Perfect. Okay, so that is all looking good. We can delete that guy. So yeah, super grateful that there's not, huge changes in this route. It largely just follows the Great Divide mountain bike route, but there are some modifications. Here's another one. And this is outside of Silver City. So, I don't think it's a bad thing to just leave some of these ones that are just slightly off route. But I'm going to make a control point here. Make sure there's no other control points. Okay. And I'm going to move this one down just a little bit. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to drag this, and this looks like it could be on some trails. So I'm going to move to walking. Oh, and I just added a route, so just pay attention to whenever you click and undo that when you do that. So I'm going to drag this over. So it's already matched pretty well, but you can see there's a slight difference here and a slight difference here. So I'm going to drag that there, and I'm going to zoom in and make sure I get this right. Okay, so gonna, and this doesn't look like it follows any particular line, which means that the base map doesn't illustrate accurately what the trail. This looks like it's following the Continental Divide Trail a little bit here. So I'm gonna switch to draw lines so that I can make this go exactly where it's supposed to go. Okay, so that moved a little bit more than I needed it to. So I'm going to undo and add an extra control point in there so it's not as dramatic. So I'm going to add a control point there. And now I'm going to switch to draw lines. And I'm going to drag this here, drag it right here. And just make it as accurate as I can. I know this is not perfect. We'll do our best. I think that's pretty good. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. Okay, there's nothing else. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and I'm just going to make sure I'm saving my file, SS Tour Divide 23. Okay, we want to update. We want to update this. We don't want to necessarily overwrite Tour Divide, the original Tour Divide file. So update this, press save. Okay, perfect. So we're going to just X out of this for now. And we're going to remove this route from this editing file. And we're going to create the Canada section. So to do that, we're just going to select, and I might actually need to get out of this, the editing mode for this, but we'll see if I can get it to work. So we're going to go to Roosevelt. Roosevelt happens at 262. So right there, we're going to drag. Okay, so yes, okay. So we do need to get out of here. So we're gonna jump to routes. Leave this. Don't need to save anything. We're gonna go to the official Tour Divide 2023 route that I got from Paula and Scott's 2024 GDMR. And so what I want to do here is I want to copy just this section of the route. So to do that, I'm going to drag this like that, and I'm going to save as a new route. So I'm going to say SSTDR Canada 2023. Okay. We can view this route. And we're going to go into editing mode. And I want this route to be connected to my, revised Great Divide Classic with POIs that has now been converted to the Tour Divide 2023 route. So I'm going to import that file. So that's my file for the Tour Divide. And you'll see it pop up right here. All right, there we go. Okay, so now we want these two routes to connect. So to do that, we're just going to go to SS Tour Divide California, and we're going to connect. We're going to press this green dot, and this will connect the two routes. Okay, so now it has it starting here. And as you can see, it's updated to the Canada section, but we'll revise the name later. But now I don't have any POIs on this Canada section, so I'm just going to show you a quick refresher on how to add those POIs. My favorite is to go into hybrid mode. And I've done this section multiple times, so I'm aware that there's not really there are no resupply sections. There is a campground store somewhere in here, so we're going to just kind of go down from the start of the route, and we'll just make sure we're zoomed in, and we're going to mark any potential recreation spots. Any campground areas that might make sense. This is only 25 miles in, so we'll be going probably around 100 miles, 90 to 100 miles this first day. So I'm not super concerned about adding very many spots here just because I don't expect that we're going to stop. So I am going to skip through a few spots. So Elkwood Campground. I believe this is the campground that has a campground store. We can just click it and kind of see what Google Maps shows for it. Yeah, this is the one that has the store. Okay, so yeah, I don't think they're going to have any hours. Oops. So I just added a route, so I'm going to undo that. Sometimes it's easy. Oh, okay. Redo here. All right, we're all good. I think I may have just dragged this route potentially. Let's just make sure I haven't added additional double. I have. There we go. No. Okay, we're going to redo this here. Okay, we want these routes to connect. So we're going to hit this button. There we go. And now we've got one route, and we're working on adding POIs to this route. And again, I've done this section multiple times, so I'm aware that there's not very many services, but I do know that at this campground, there's a small camp store. So I'm going to add a POI. I'm going to go into drop POI mode, and I'm going to mark Elkwood. I believe they have ice cream there as well, which is fun. Small camp store. And I'll just put a little convenience store symbol on that. All right, so I'm going to move down the route. There's cabins, there's a rec site. Again, I'm not planning for our purposes, I'll mark these. Upper Elk. So I'll mark these as little camp areas. Potential places to bivvy down for the night. Okay, so we're going to skip ahead because there's only one real resupply on this Canada section, and that's in Fernie. So we're going to see what Fernie's got. Okay, we're in Fernie. We're going to zoom in a lot. Okay, we've got let's see, looks like we've got, okay, we got a grocery store here. Mark that as a convenience store. When I go into towns, my priorities are, grocery store, fast meal, and coffee. But it's nice to know if there are what options there are. If there's a bike shop, which I know Fernie has, that's nice to know. So let's see here. I believe the central part of town is right here. So yeah. Okay, looks like there's bagel place. That sounds pretty good. I seem to recall there's a coffee shop right here. So I'm just going to mark all these little spots so that when I get into town, I can just pull out my map and find a place, have a plan. This is a bike shop. So I like this part of town because it's got coffee, bagels, and a bike shop all within walking distance. And it's good to know if there's any lodging available, what kind of lodging there is. So I'll kind of look at this, and it looks like there's bed and breakfast. Yeah, there's quite a few different lodging options. So we'll just mark lodging options because this is excellent. Okay, so there's a few. I'll mark some POIs for water here, just to show you kind of my process with that. Okay, right here it looks like this follows along a creek. I'm going to mark this spot because this is very close to water. But I prefer to mark water where the water is crossing the road because that's the easiest place to refill. This looks like a potential, that's just a road. I was thinking that was, I'll mark that because that looks accessible. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, great. So we've got our POIs for Canada. We're going to save. And again, this saved to the Canada. So we're going to save as a new route. We're going to say Sarasota Tour Divide, Sarasota Tour Divide 2023 route. POIs. Okay, we're going to view this route. Exit here for now. And it's a big file with all those POIs, so that's why it takes a little bit of time. I'm going to view the route. And you can see we've got the whole map with POIs. And okay, so because this route file is so huge, this is, it is possible that you can download this on your phone, but just to make it easier, it's highly recommend that you break this up into sections. So I'll show you how to do that because you'll want separate sections for not only your GPS device, but also just to download it on your Ride with GPS app so that the app doesn't get bogged down. This is a very heavy file, especially in hybrid mode. So for downloading big distance maps, with a lot of POIs. It's better to kind of be in one of these more simple modes. It's nice because you can still see like where the public lands are and everything like that. So we're just going to divide these sections up in the same way we had for the Great Divide Classic, and give them their own unique names. And yeah, so I'm going to drag just like last time. I'm going to save as. I'm going to say a new route, and I'm going to name this Section 1 Tour Divide Ride 2023. Okay, I'm going to clear selection, and I'm going to keep working my way down. So the next section, I believe, goes from Roosevelt to Helena. And I'm just going to make sure I get all the way to Helena here. I'm not, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Bring it all the way. Well, that's too far. That's not showing up. Okay, here we go. Now it's showing up. All right, it's a little slow to respond. Again, when you're working with these big files, things tend to move a little slower. So it's important to break them up so that they're easier to deal with. So I'm just going to make sure this is going right to Helena, not too far. Yeah, I'm going to keep zooming in. Zoom in. There we go. Almost there. There we go. Perfect. All right. Save a new route. And we'll call this O2 Divide Route 2023. And we're going to just keep repeating this process. Okay, so once we're done, we're going to import everything into a collection so that we can make sure, everything is there and it's organized. So I've started this, and I've put all of my routes here in all my different segments. So you can see we've got the first segment from Banff to Roosevelt, second segment, Roosevelt to Helena, third segment, Helena to, I guess that's a Grand Teton National Park, Grand Teton National Park to Warmsutter to, let's see here, I believe that's Salida, and Salida down to Grants down to the border. And then I've also imported the complete route as well. Okay, and just to show you how to do that, so you can create a, just start from the beginning here. You can start a new collection, Tour Divide 2023, and you can select an image. And to import these routes, you just go through here and select all the ones that you want to do. So we've got section 1, section 2, 3, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we've got the whole Tour Divide route as well right here, and we're going to add it to a collection. And you can see how it all populates. This is all roughly in order. I'm just going to drag that one above. And then you've got your collection of routes. And it'll take a couple minutes on loading the map. My internet connection's not always the best here. I'm in a canyon, so things take a little longer. Okay, so going back, there's one last little prep that I like to do is I last time created a cheat sheet for the resupply points. And so I just wanted to show you the revised version of that. And each route here, you can see I've added the cheat sheet in the route description, but I also like to keep another copy of that in my notes on my phone. So this will ultimately go into my notes. And I just needed to create an extra cheat sheet for the Canada section. Super grateful that I decided for the Great Divide Classic, to do each segment of routes rather than like make a mileage based off of the entire route, because that would have required a lot of editing. But because I'm just doing it in sections, there's only minor differences to make. And so just to give you a little overview of this format, I have listed the starting distance. This is the distance between. This is the town. And then these are the services. So this is a legend of the services. So big F means that there's a large food store. Small f means limited food resupply. W means water, M means motel, C means campground, R means restaurant, B means bike shop, money sign means bank or ATM, D means dispensary, B means bus, and A means airport. Well, I listed bus or airport. So as you can see, I've added Banff as a starting point. The next resupply point on route, well, this is actually off route, but I've marked it anyway, just so that we know where it is Elkford, which has a grocery store, water, motel, restaurant. And then the next one is Fernie, and this is 156 miles from Banff, assuming that you're not going off of route. And these are the services in Fernie, and the next resupply is mile 262, which is 166 from Fernie. And that's just a limited food and water resupply. Going down, you can see that I've added from Roosevelt to Helena. Eureka happens at mile 10, which is 10 miles from Roosevelt, but 126 miles from Ferdy. So this is an actual major resupply point. From Eureka, it's 92 miles to Whitefish. Columbia Falls takes place on this route segment at 112, which is 10 miles from Whitefish. Echo Lake restaurant, 27 miles from Columbia Falls, and so on and so on. And this file has been updated and is available to the public via the link that I'll share. Okay, so yeah, now we need to get this stuff on our Garmin. So I'm going to plug in my Garmin using this little cable here. And plug it into the side of my computer. And I'm going to go back to my collections. And I'm going to just start opening these routes and exporting them. And I find that the fit file works great. So I'm just going to download the fit file. So that's just going to keep going back and forth. So I'm going to download them all first, export, download. And I'm downloading the individual route segments again so that my Garmin can handle it, and not bombard it, and can open the route files more easily. Go back. Go section 4, export, download. X. Go back here. Oops. And 7. Okay, so now I have all these routes saved on my computer. I'm going to show them and I'm going to select them. I'm going to copy. I'm going to open my Garmin, go to new files, drop them in new files. And that's all it takes to get the routes on my Garmin. But just because I'm putting a lot of new routes on here, I'm just going to make sure that I clear my device of all the old routes, just so that my Garmin has the most easiest time. So it looks like there's only one route on my Garmin right now. I did recently clear it off, so I'm going to move this one to trash just to create as much space as possible. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to eject my Garmin, and now I'm going to get these routes on my phone. And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so to find these routes on my phone, we're going to get the link to, let's see, okay, so now I want to get these routes on my phone. So I'm just going to select them. And you can tell it's taking a minute because it's in satellite mode. So I'm going to switch the Basemap so that it's Basemap. We're going to switch it to the Ride with GPS Basemap. Okay, so we have that. And we're going to hit save. Download for offline. And it's downloading. So we'll go back. We're going to start over here. Okay, so now we want to get all these routes on our phones and downloaded. So to do that, I'm going to pin them first. We're going to pin them. I'm going to go back. And this way they'll show up easily on my app once I open it. And And pinning just brings it to the top, so they're easy to find on the app. And again, this is a bigger file. Okay, now that they're all pinned, I'm going to open my phone. I'm going to open the app on my phone. And we're going to go to library. We're going to go to pinned. And you can see all the routes here. So I'm going to download. We're going to open them. And again, I think this, yep, okay. And I'm going to turn off, I don't really want to see the global heat map. So I'm going to adjust that. And then I do want distance markers. I want surfaces, but I don't need surfaces. I'm going to turn off everything that I don't necessarily need. Distance, POIs, that's what I want. That's all I want. So done. Okay. Now I'm going to save this route, download for offline, and it's downloading. Okay, now you can see that it's downloading here, and it looks like I've got some pretty big files in here already. So just to make my app work a little better, it's always good to check to see if there's an update. I'm pretty bad at that, so I probably do need an update on here. Don't need that open. Delete. And you can already tell it's moving a lot faster. Okay, so I've got the first section downloaded. Almost downloaded. I'm going to open the second section. I'm going to check my Basemap, make sure everything is the way I want it. Yes. And I'm going to hit save. Okay, that's all I got for you today. Again, this is all public information. You can find my collection under my Ride with GPS account. We'll drop a link to the collection in this video, but I hope that this is helpful and that it makes your ride on the Tour Divide much easier. Remember, obviously you need at least a basic account on Ride with GPS in order to download these routes for offline. It's very cheap to do. I believe it's like $6. So get on that and yeah, have a great ride out there. Thank you.